Okay, third time is the charm. Hopefully this is much better now. Sorry guys, just having some technical difficulties. So I've just tried to change a few settings, restarted the router, hard reset on everything. So let's see how we get on in this stream. So yeah, welcome to the Game Week 3 deadline stream. Hopefully I can get at least a snippet of content out there for you guys to showcase the team and just talk through a few points and any questions that you've got obviously in the leading up to the deadline. But let's have a look at the team. So we've got, at the moment, only a couple of dilemmas really for me, and that's Andreas over Nico Williams, potentially Ward coming in for Sanchez, and the captaincy, really. They're the three kind of choices. The two transfers I made were Robertson to Reece James, ahead of the price drop from Robbo and price rise from James. So I was happy to do that on Wednesday evening, as I was pretty sure I wanted to at least make that move out of the two. And then this morning I made Neto to Gross, so unfortunately missed the price drop from Neto and the price rise to 5.7 for Gross, but still happy with the transfer. 0.7 in the bank now, moving forward. So that's the team. In terms of captaincy, got it on Jesus, Salah Vice at the moment. Maybe a bit of a talking point really in terms of data, but we'll maybe get to that at some point before 11 a.m. Let's just hope that the stream stays healthy for you guys this time. So. I think what I'll do is if I go on to Fantasy Football Scout, so for captaincy, I guess this is the area that I was looking at, right? Salah and Jesus are very, very close together in terms of what their potential outputs are going to be this week. And I think just looking at the two teams that they're playing essentially in Bournemouth and United, these are the stats I've kind of tried to break down a little bit further. So we can see Bournemouth, although they did play City last week, they have conceded 34 shots total. Now, United are a little bit further away in 28 shots. And I think in terms of the goals conceded, I guess my argument would be, although United at the moment have conceded 6, Bournemouth 4, United really, that should be 4 goals, to be honest. You know, David De Gea made 2 catastrophic errors in that 4-0 defeat. You know, the first one for the Silva's goal and the second one passing to Eriksen when Brentford were high pressing. So I think both of those goals could have easily been avoided, and I don't think that that's a true reflection of how United are defensively. Although they do look weak, I would 100% say that it's very, very close between both these teams. But I just think as Bournemouth as a newly promoted team, regardless of their home form versus Villa, that's Aston Villa, they're a completely different attacking outfit as opposed to Arsenal. So that's where the captaincy is kind of sitting for me at the moment for those reasons. So I don't know if that's sort of justified really, but that's kind of where my thoughts are at with it. Sanchez over Ward as well currently. I think really from watching, I watched the Europa Conference game from West Ham. They did start with Bowen. Ogbonna is back. There's a few people really that featured from their first team essentially, and I think they could absolutely score against Brighton. But I just think overall Brighton as a team, I'm going to back them to keep the clean sheet over Leicester. Fofana's been heavily linked still with Chelsea, and with him absent in that Leicester side, they already conceded 4 goals against Arsenal with him in it. Not sure that they're going to be able to keep Southampton at bay even at home. So I think both of them have, similar ceilings. They could get 3 points, it could be 2 points, could be 6 each. I don't know, but at the moment that's where I'm leaning. And in terms of the Andreas to Nico Williams argument, I suppose Andreas I think has a higher ceiling from the fact that he's on all the set pieces for Fulham, but I don't know why. I liked from the eye test perspective what Nico Williams was doing. Last game. I just think his XGI looks really, really promising, and for 4 million, it's the same for the 4.5 of Andreas. I suppose it's just a coin flip. So I've decided to go with Nico, I think here. So yeah, the last minute change that could happen, I guess, is the captaincy. But for now, where are we at time-wise? We've still got 25 minutes, really, so... we shall see what happens. And I think the other consideration that I did have after making the video yesterday, I was very, very close to bringing in Martinelli other than Gross. I think both of them have kind of an equal threat really going into the next few weeks. Potentially, I'm still happy owning Saka though, even though he hasn't returned the same amount. It's half the points total essentially. I feel like it's a lot of variance at play. And that Saka really, I think, has been told by Arteta, I think, to protect Ben White a little bit at right back. And he's done a lot more defensive work than Martinelli. So I think that will improve now that Tomiyasu is back as well. So I think depending if he does start, then we'll have to see. But I think maybe Saka gets a bit more license to go forward again. So I'm expecting some more returns from him. Excuse me, over the next few weeks. So I think he's a hold for me. Martinelli does scare me though, absolutely. He's nearly 40% owned, I think. So he could definitely go and smash it again against Bournemouth, that's for sure. But went with Gross in the end. It just I wanted to attack the fixtures. Higher Anish, Foden is worth a go. I think he is. I mean, the only difficulty I have with him is that when he had, I don't know if you checked out the highlights or got to see anything from the Bournemouth game last week, but he had a complete clear opportunity to square to Erling Haaland and just took the shot on instead. And I think that actually really upset Pep because he got substituted, and I think it might annoy him really that he's not doing what Pep wants him to do, which is of course to feed that number 9. So I think he's a good option, but just be wary that potentially he could be a bit of a minutes risk still as well. Arav, that's fine, mate. Literally, this is the third time now that I've gone live, just because I had some problems. I've completely restarted my router now though, and it seems to be a bit more steady. So no need to apologise, mate. It's all good. I'm expecting as well, I think, good things from Mason Mount here. I'm actually quite surprised he dropped to 7.9. I know a lot of people maybe were looking to move money around, so maybe that's why they sold him, but I think it's too early to pull the trigger on losing faith in him. I think I saw a statistic somewhere that he scored 2 goals and got 2 assists, I think, last season against Leeds, so it's a fixture that he enjoys and he likes. I mean, I would agree, hasn't looked the strongest over the past few weeks, but I think he's definitely a hold. Let's have a look at your team. Ramsdale, Trent, Robbo, Williams, Cancelo, Gross, De Silva, Salah, Mount, Jesus, Kane. De Silva is the only knee-jerk reaction transfer in. I think, to be honest, look, I think it was one of those FPL traps, really, because it's really important. I always say this, you can't just look, just on an eye test or look at data or underlining stats, right? You have to take a combination of everything. But De Silva was really, really lucky to score that goal against United. I don't know about his first goal he scored in the first week, but that second goal, he doesn't really have any expected goal involvement in terms of a pick, right? 100%. I think Andreas is the better option in terms of that price point, but. Yeah, I think Gross over Rodrigo makes sense as well, bud. Just because the Chelsea fixture this week is a little bit, it's not necessarily the the right week, let's say. If we were in game week 4 or 5, though, I think Rodrigo would have a very, very good argument to come in. Anish, graphics are insanely good. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I actually studied graphic design at uni, so I've got maybe a little bit of an advantage in being able to create some stuff. But I'm glad you like the graphics, mate. It's pretty much all my own design, original stuff. So yeah, glad you like it. It's actually just by chance that I started creating content before the FPL game launched this year, that the blue and green and purple sort of, FPL colours this year are very close to my purple and blue, which I decided randomly to go with. So yeah, they copied me, mate. That's what I'm going to go with. Bench, Ward, Trippier, Andreas, Plange. Yeah, I think that's pretty standard, mate. I think, are you happy to go with... Is that the order that you've got them in as well? Just, I think maybe Andreas should be ahead of Trippier in terms of the bench option. Like on screen here, I've got him as my left option just in case one of the players doesn't play, of course. I think he's got more potential of returns over Trippier. So just something to bear in mind if you've not sorted out the order. Who's your captain then, Arav? Who have you gone with? Have you gone with Salah, I assume, or are you in the Jesus camp? I think I read somewhere for Andreas's minutes. He's fit, mate. He's okay to go. I think he was in training. I think in the press conference it was mentioned. So I still think he's a better option, even if he doesn't play, right? Let's say he doesn't feature, then Trippier comes in anyway. So it doesn't matter. If he doesn't play, he doesn't come on, and then you've got Trippier coming on just in case one of your other starting 11 don't play. I just think it makes sense to reorder them a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's a minor thing, mate, that may come into play right before the end of the game week. Yeah, Anish, I am on Twitter. I'm just not. I haven't really been so active on Instagram or Twitter, really, just because I have a full-time job as well. I only really do this as a hobby. So it's literally just finding the time, I guess, to create content or produce some stuff. But I do check it daily. It's just, yeah, I haven't really interacted much with the community as of yet. But I only started the channel 6 weeks ago, so I'm happy with the progress so far. But yeah, you can drop me a follow there if you want to, mate. I usually post a couple of tweets a week at least. Whether it be just transfer related news or FPL specifically, so feel free, mate. Yeah, Oscar's a great guy, mate. He messaged me yesterday as well. I think he's potentially going to send a few people this way once the deadline stream ends for him. But yeah, his content's awesome. I followed him pretty much. I think I subscribed to him last year, just before he on the kind of lead up really to him getting #1, which was fantastic growth for the channel for him. But yeah, he's just a genuinely good guy as well. I love the content that he produces. So yeah. I've probably gained a good, say, at least 100 subscribers from Focal bringing people over here, to be honest. So I'm very, very grateful of him mentioning me. RF, my full-time job, mate. I work for Ferrero, the chocolate company, which is why my team name is Kinder and Burmo, or Kinder Buemo, of course, if you want to sort of have a pun on the Kinder brand, because Kinder is a brand of Ferrero or a sub-brand of Ferrero chocolate. So yes, I work in IT there. They use SAP as a system, so I do a lot of data analytical work for them and problem solving. So. Yeah, kind of data analytics really is my thing. I really enjoy it. I love problem solving, and which is kind of why I think this is a perfect game for me, because I've always enjoyed football. Pretty much, played the game physically since I was 5 years old, all the way up until sort of my late teens. Went to university, early 20s. Only played really five-a-side football, but it's just been a combination, really, I think, with this of the love for football and data and analytics and trying to have some fun with it, right? Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, AI, ML. I mean, AI is definitely something that I would consider. I mean, if you ask me, I'm 33 years old, right? So 12 years ago is when I went to university. If knowing what I knew the world was going to become 12, 13 years ago, I may have leaned towards doing something similar as well, Arav, because I'm telling you, this it's the way forward, mate. There's so many robotic technologies now out there. I think, there's even I saw, actually, talking of Focal as well. I saw one of his videos to do with kind of AI systems trying to predict FPL as well. Like, who knows? Maybe my job's at risk, both physically and potential job with FPL. Right? It could be robots doing this in the future. But yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, though, that's kind of the thing that I love about football and this as a game, right? Because it's so unpredictable. So unpredictable in terms of what can happen. It doesn't matter if you've got, AI or some kind of robotics in terms of data analytics. We use it to try and, help our decision making, right? But it doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong in football. It's what gives us the excitement, right? Thanks, mate. Just going to check if we've had any early team news. Let's have a look. Thing is, really, it's only the Spurs fixture, right, that we may get some kind of leak for, and it's not really relevant to me, but exactly, RF. And going back to Anish's comment about Phil Foden, that's kind of the point, is that Phil Foden, I think, is a great option. I think what he produces, he's a great creative player. But that one pass, that one square pass, could have meant any captain, any Haaland captainers of last week would have been absolutely laughing even more over the Salah blank, because that would have been a clear goal, right? So just very, very minor things and decision makings that can swing things. And again, that reinforces my thoughts around Martinelli, right? I was so close to bringing him in this morning in terms of the transfer, other than Gross, but I just feel like I've been a bit of a victim of variance. Like, Mason Mount and Saka could have easily returned over these past 2 weeks, right? Mount's maybe been slightly more disappointing out of the two of them, but we would have been having a completely different conversation on those players, right? I might not have been 2 million. I could have been top 100k if those people returned. So I love those small differences. That's what kind of, brings me back every season, I think, to this game. Rightly or wrongly, who knows, but I enjoy it. Exactly, mate. That's why we're here. Yeah, so I think really in this last, what are we on, 10 to 11, the last 10 minutes really, it's all about that captaincy choice for me. I think I feel like there's so much upside with going Jesus though that I think I'm going to stay with him. Arav, didn't watch both City games, so I'm not sure what your thoughts on Gundogan. I think if Bernardo Silva would have left, I would have been maybe a bit more confident in Gundogan as a choice. I think he is still potentially a good option though because of his captaincy, right? He's been given the captain's armband by Pep, so that to me tells me that he's kind of a nailed-on pick. Again, though, the problem is with City, as you know, Walker, for example, is just someone that I won't probably hold long term, right? Because once the midweek fixtures start, in terms of European fixtures, FA Cup, League Cup, all this stuff, the rotation is massive for these top teams, right? So I don't know how much I see Gundogan featuring in the Premier League. That's my only concern with him, but his numbers are very, very good. And exactly, that's what I'm saying. So if Bernardo did leave, but Pep has pretty much said that he's a City player, right? He's not convinced that he's going to leave. That could change by, of course, the end of the window. There's still, 2.5 weeks left. But again, going back to Gundogan as an actual, as an option, I tell you what we'll do, considering I've got Scout open. If I go to stats tables for forwards, if we have a look at Gundogan's stats, so 0.66 XG non-pen and 0.19 expected assists. So not too bad overall, right? Scored 13 points so far, 5 chances created, 0 big chances, but at 7.5 he could easily come into our thinking on those numbers, right? At that price point, it's easy from an 8 mil downwards. And look, if even someone like Diaz, he got that return last week, but doesn't necessarily mean he was the best option. Mount's numbers a little bit maybe more disappointing. Saka's numbers versus Martinelli, let's have a look at the difference. Martinelli 0.43, 0.36, Saka 0.30, 0.40, right? So they're very, very similar as picks. And that's why I think with the variance argument about Saka versus Martinelli as an isolated one or the other, that's why I really didn't support the sideways transfer. Not this week, at least, anyway. Potentially in the future, but I think this is the time for Saka to start returning. So we'll see. I mean, as I say, I like to use a combination of statistics, eye tests, and all sorts of things, right? So, morning, Keith, mate. How you doing, bud? But really, I think, as I say, my last headache, if you like, or the last choice really that I need to make within these next few minutes is the Salah captaincy versus Jesus. So literally looking again at the shots conceded for Bournemouth, 34. I don't know how much they contributed to this versus Villa, but because Arsenal arguably are a top 4 team, let's say, or at least top 5, right, in terms of their attacking output, the transfer window has been great for them. I think Bournemouth are going to struggle against them. It's not going to be an easy fixture for them like it was against Villa, even though it is on their home turf. I think that's what I've taken into consideration here. For United, though, again, we just look rubbish at the back, right? So it's definitely worth captain Salah. I think they might even equal each other. But I think I'm happy to take the gamble. It's game week 3. Rank doesn't really matter that much yet. I'm like 10 points away from being a million, right? It slashes the rank in half. So that's kind of where my thinking's at really in terms of the last decisions. And that, like I said, Arav, I think Salah is a perfectly fine option. I can understand why so many managers have gone with him. But I just think I want to be a little bit different. Rightly or wrongly, who knows? I might be crying, I might be cheering, who knows? And I'm a Man United fan, right? Like, I know Salah is the FPL GOAT. There's absolutely undeniable that, what he did against us last season was phenomenal, right? I did actually captain him on that week, but I just don't think I can do it this week. I think we might shut up shop a little bit better. And yeah, I think what's kind of maybe helping the decision making as well is that. Of course, Firmino, I think, is still considered injured, right? And Nunez got the red card. So Salah potentially plays in much more of a forward number 9 role, which means that, you know, against, say, Martinez, who didn't really look very good, let's say, for United in terms of coming into the Premier League, the physicality of the league and what Salah can do, his low centre of gravity, I feel like he could return, right? Like I said, I think it's just a 50-50. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, to be honest. But yes, Arav, I am a Man U fan, mate, but that's not really the reason why I'm not captaining Salah, right? This FPL separate to so I haven't got a United player in my team, right? So it's a little bit separate, but yeah, I don't know. I think both options are great. Like I say, I've just gone a little bit different, rightly or wrongly, who knows? But it's not too differential, right? There's still, on polls that I've seen across Twitter, there's still quite a few people that have gone for Jesus. So 5 minutes till deadline, guys. So yeah, any transfers that you need to make, get them in. Check your captaincy, check the bench order, refresh your screen. Just about to do that myself. There we go. Barcelona, man, interesting. What drew you to them, to support them? Mainly neutral for Premier League, kind of like West Ham, but being neutral makes FPL more fun. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, when it was a perfect match or storm for me when Bruno joined Man United, right? When he went on his absolute streak, having him in the team was phenomenal. You know, that was, you know, double celebrations really when you got the armband on a player that you want to haul, not only because you've got them in FPL, but also the team you support. It's a good feeling, right? Yeah, kind of the same for me, really, Keith. There's, I think I'm obviously set on the transfers. As you can see, Gross and James in for Robbo and Neto. But yeah, in terms of who we've got, I'm hoping for a clean sheet, really, in the Everton Forest game. For Forest, I can easily see that being a 0-0, but who knows, right? Stranger things have happened. That could be turning out to be an absolute goal fest, right? So we'll see what happens. But Fulham, Brentford, Andreas is on the bench for me, so if he comes on, okay, sure. If one of my players needs to, but it's the Bournemouth Arsenal game really for me this evening is the most important. Not owning Martinelli, owning Saka over him, and with Jesus captain, it'll be interesting. And the thing is that what's kind of another kind of exciting prospect, I suppose, with choosing Jesus over Salah, right, is the fact that if he does haul this evening, I'm going to obviously be hoping that Salah blanks on Monday, but it's a few days of nail biting for other managers, right? So we'll see though. It's all good fun, right? Brentford are away to Fulham, mate. So yeah, it's I mean, Fulham looked really good against Liverpool at home on that first game week. So I do think that Andreas, you know, arguably could come in for Nico Williams. I just feel like, because I've kind of predicted almost a 0-0 really in that game, I feel like the clean sheet plus what Nico Williams in terms of an eye test, right? Don't underestimate, and the statistics, don't underestimate him at a 4 million. I think he can really do something. He was so attacking in the last game for Forest. It really surprised me, to be honest. Take care, Keith, mate. Thanks for dropping in. Good luck to you too, buddy. Excuse me. Right, we're almost there. We're almost locked, boys. This is it. And ladies, excuse me. One minute to go. And to you, RF, mate, let's hope for those lovely green arrows. Like I say, though, look, it's game week 3, right? So I think it's really important to know that just when it's this early on, don't worry so much about rank. When you actually look at the difference between like top 500k versus 4 million, it's pennies in terms of points, right? It's like 20 points difference, 25 points. It's nothing. That's one decent captaincy week, and it's a complete swing from 4 million to 500k, right? That's the fun of it, right? Of course, it's a competition. It's healthy competition, though. That's the thing. I'll be really interested in the future, though, that if the channel continues to grow, which I hope it does, but like I say, it is just a hobby for me right now, right? Like if it does just continue to grow, I'll be so intrigued on how many people eventually start copying a team, right? Because so many content creators struggle with that, where basically they're trying to push for rank, but they're also showing what moves they're making and kind of displaying their team every week, right? But again, it's kind of part and parcel, I suppose, of doing this, right? It's again, it's all just meant to be fun. That should be us locked. Let's check. Game's updating. We're locked in. Jesus captain. I've done it. We'll see how that turns out this evening. I could be a catastrophic mood for me today, but let's see how we do. So what are we going with? Point prediction. What are we saying? I think personally, I want a 70-point week. I think if I can hit 70 points this week, I'll be really happy. And the focal raid begins. Thanks, RF, mate. Thank you. Pure love from Focal, man. Thank you so much, Oscar, mate. Really appreciate it. Top bloke, mate. Unbelievable. 200 views already, huh? And counting. Fully landed. Unbelievable. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I mean, it's I've stayed on for a little bit. Oscar mentioned that he'd recommend the channel, so really appreciate it again, bud. It's you're pretty much the sole kind of person responsible for about half my subscribers so far in terms of a channel, mate. So really appreciate that. If you are new though, ladies and gents, please consider subscribing. Follow me on Twitter. I'm still not so active on Twitter or Instagram really in terms of in platforms. I'm much more active on YouTube, or at least 2-3 videos a week, right? So yeah, please consider subscribing. Team locked in to that side of me there. Captain Jesus, not sure what I'm doing, to be honest with that, but hey ho, we've taken a bit of a gamble. 2 million rank, and here we are. So. Daniel Vincent, is Tony essential on a wild card? I think, to be honest, I would definitely go for him. Yeah, I think he's essential. He's on penalties. Brentford's fixtures look great. If I was wild carding, I would have gone with him. Yeah. So what's my reason for captain Jesus over Salah and Haaland? Right. So I think really the best way to describe this, to be honest, is just to quickly jump into to Scout. But I'm not sponsored by Scout in any way, by the way. I've just been a member for them for a few years, and I just think they're a great platform. But in terms of Bournemouth versus Man United, in terms of defensive totals, right, this has kind of been my reasoning. Bournemouth, much more shots conceded. United, arguably, yes, they've conceded 6 goals. 2 of them were probably just David De Gea's mistake, right, over actual, let's say conceded goals or opportunities. And I just think as well, I'm a United fan, right? So deep down, I don't really want Salah to smash it. So I did captain him last season though against us, but yeah, that's kind of where my thinking's at. I just look at the statistics and I just like them overall. So is it worth doing Tony instead of an 8 million midfielder, then do 5 at the back? I think I still like the 8 million price point. From a midfielder perspective, I think there's still points to come from Saka, Mount. Obviously, we've had returns from Kulu, we've had returns from Luis Diaz, so I still think the 8 million midfielder is good. And then, but in terms of Ivan Toney, what he can produce, right? He could definitely give them a run for their money, and 5 at the back looks stronger right now. And he switched from Jesus to Salah last min. Wish I'd left it on Jesus. However, the Man United game might get postponed. Well, that's what vice captaincy is for. I don't necessarily see it getting postponed, right? Because it happened last season. There'll be much more kind of security measures. And being a United fan, I follow quite a few different social media outlets, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any hostility there. Of course, that's easier said than done. It's football, right? There potentially could be, but